This is Michael Halper with SalesScripter, and I want to talk to you about how to do cold emailing. And if you're here and you're wanting to know, okay, how can I improve my cold emailing? Then the things that you're probably wanting to improve is you want to increase how many prospects read your email that you send, how many prospects reply to your email, and how many prospects actually end up buying your product. That's all probably what you want to improve. And we will talk about things that can improve that. But let's look at the opposite. What if we can do some things that decrease how much prospects don't read your email? What if we can decrease prospects from instantly deleting your email? I call that the instant delete. That is, your email hits a prospect's inbox and they immediately delete it without even looking at it. So sure, if we can do some things and make some changes that make someone read your email from beginning to end and reply to it, that's great. And everything we'll talk about here today should positively impact that. But what if we can make some changes that keep the email alive a little bit longer? And it's my belief that the right side is easier to do. It's more difficult to think of some formula that really creates big improvements on the left side in terms of getting people engaged and replying. To do stuff on the right side, I believe there's some fairly straightforward things that you can do immediately. In theory, if you can decrease how quickly prospects delete your email, that should have a positive impact. And so our agenda here today is I want to talk about some core concepts that leads to all that on the front end. Then what we will talk about building your email messages. I'll share with you a process that you can use to create your email messages. I'll share actual cold email templates with you. Then we'll talk about sending your emails out and some best practices and tactics that you can employ regarding your cold emails to improve your effectiveness. So let's get started and talk about some core concepts. I want to start first, let's take a step back and try to understand the prospect. Of course, especially if you're selling B2B, you're emailing someone that is extremely busy. And in addition to that, you're most likely, if you're sending your emails to business owners or decision makers, they get a lot of emails from salespeople. A lot of people just like you that sell exactly what you sell, and a lot of people that have nothing to do with what you sell are trying to also sell to the same person because everybody's trying to get to the same people, the people with money, the people with authority. And that's important to know when talking about cold emailing, when talking about crafting your emails, because your emails are a part of this noise. They're part of this inbound barrage of cold emails that the prospect's receiving. That's salespeople, I don't think, write emails with awareness that their emails are part of a long string of emails from other salespeople. So that's really important to get your hands around, or to be aware of, should I say. The other thing is that your prospects are human, and humans care about their own stuff. Just like if you're a salesperson or business owner, you care about your stuff, the prospect cares about their stuff. And so what that means is that since you care about your stuff, you're sending emails, most likely, your cold emails. Well, actually, let me not say you. Let me say the salespeople that send me cold emails. They send me emails that are about their stuff, which is what they care about. Well, if I'm a human and I care more about my stuff than their stuff, there's a bit of a disconnect there, right? We'll talk about that a little bit more here today. I try to assume that the prospect is not likely in buying mode at the particular time that I press send on the email or I call them up and they answer my call. What I mean by that is most likely they're not sitting there thinking, this is something I need regarding what you sell. Now, if you get an inbound call, that's totally different because they did a Google search, ended up at your website, called you up. They are in buying mode. If you're doing cold emailing or cold calling, most likely they're not in buying mode. Even if you sell something that they periodically buy. Let's say that you sell ink cartridges for printers and that every 3 months they buy ink cartridges. The odds are that you call at the time and day where they're going, my ink is running out and it's time to buy one, I think is a low probability. I think that is important to keep in mind, because if your message, whether you're calling them or emailing them, is all about, do you need what I sell? Your message has a low probability of really connecting and communicating effectively. The other thing is that I believe most prospects delete many messages without reading them. A good analogy to think about is, think about checking your physical mail at your mailbox at home. Do you read and open every piece of mail? No, you don't. A lot of the pieces you tear up pretty quickly. That's what most decision makers do with their email. And a lot of times they use the same tactic, right? When you're ripping up a piece of junk mail, you might make that decision based on what the envelope looks like. If it's very mass mail or looking, you delete it, you rip it up really quickly without a concern. Versus if you have an envelope that with a handwritten address from someone that you might not know who the name is and the return address, but if it's handwritten, you're going to open it up. Well, if the prospect's busy and they're getting hit by salespeople every day, and they delete messages really quickly, then one thing that we should do, or in my opinion, is that we should try to not sound like a salesperson selling something. Doing that is in our email, it's providing the same type of indicator that the physical mail in your mailbox provides when it has all these colors and images on it where you know it's an advertisement. So if we can not sound like a salesperson trying to sell something, I'm not saying to mislead or present yourself as someone that you aren't, but you can present yourself more as a consultant, an advisor, a business person than a salesperson trying to sell something. And everything we talk about here today will help you with that. We just discussed that the prospects are human, and if you agree that humans care about their own stuff more, well then if we send them an email that's all about our product and all about us, then we're not really communicating in a way that connects with their interests. If you agree with that, then what can we do? Well, why don't we communicate in a way where we make our cold email more about them, making it more about their interests and less about us. If your prospects are busy, and if they're deleting emails really quickly without reading them, the longer your email is, the more likely it is to be deleted, for you to get the instant delete, should I say. One way that I compose cold emails is that I try to look at it like I'm packing a suitcase for a long 2-week trip. I put all the stuff out on my bed, and then I start loading up the suitcase, and I start looking at each item that I would love to take. And I ask myself, do I really need that pair of shoes? Do I really need that many pairs of pants? And I start dwindling it down. Maybe you do a draft of a cold email, but then look at it, each word in that same way. Because every word you can get rid of makes the email shorter. And the shorter the email, the more positive of an effect that you'll have on that instant delete rate. Everything we're talking about here today, by the way, you can apply to sending emails out of your inbox or an email automation system, or sending emails through like LinkedIn. LinkedIn in-mail messages, those are just emails. It's just a different inbox, but everything that we talk about here can apply to LinkedIn. But the reason why I bring up LinkedIn when talking about brevity is that one factor with LinkedIn is that the email window is extremely small. If you haven't really noticed that, look at your LinkedIn inbox and the email window. It's very shallow and it's very narrow. And what that means is, what would be a normal looking email, sending it through a traditional email system or client, when it's received through LinkedIn, a normal size email can look very long in terms of scrolling. So you even have to be more critical and more diligent regarding brevity when using LinkedIn in-mail message. I discussed that most likely your prospect's not in buying mode. This concept kind of helps with that, and it's to not sell the product, but to sell the meeting. This really applies to cold calling as well. It could even apply, what I'm going to talk about here probably could apply even if you get an inbound call or email where the prospect is in buying mode, you could still apply what I'm going to share with you here, but because you're calling someone that's not in buying mode, this is even more important. And what I'm talking about here is that these boxes on the left side are the main early steps that you might take a prospect through, which is you speak to them first or you send them an email. Then you might try to establish a formal conversation with them. Sometimes that looks like an appointment. That's box 2. And then that might be a short meeting. And then maybe if that goes well, then you progress to some sort of presentation. Maybe that's a demonstration of your product. It's a delivery of information. It could be you providing a quote if you have a very simple sales process. The reason why I put these out here is that you as a salesperson, you have 2 goals. Your ultimate goal is to sell the product. Your immediate goal is to advance the prospect to the next step of your sales process. Your natural instincts are always to try to get the person interested and validated for your product, for purchasing your product. You need to, and that would be to sell the product. Even if that's going to be a few conversations away, it's easy in an email to say, and let me show you what that looks like in an email. It says, I sell this, do you need this? Even if they can't reply to the email with their credit card number or agreement to purchase, just the question of, do you need what I sell? Of course, that might be a little bit more sophisticated terminology instead of just, do you need what I sell? But what I'm trying to say is that the message, when it's just around, I sell X, do you need X, or what are your needs today? That's all around selling the product. But look at these 2 boxes here. If your email is box 1, the close is to get someone to box 2. So your cold email should focus on selling the meeting, not selling the product. And this improves with that core concept that the prospect's most likely not in buying mode. It is going to take more than one cold email, most likely, to get engaged with the prospect. Sometimes you might send the first email and they reply and you generate a lead. That's great. But let's assume it's going to take more than one email. Just assume that. And not only will this help you to build a more successful approach and strategy, it also will help you with your expectations that, instead of just sending 10 cold emails and saying nobody replied and then thinking you're a failure and putting your, head down, no. You could send 100 emails and nobody's going to reply, and you should have your head up because your strategy is just getting started. And what we show you here today is going to show you what that strategy should look like. And the strategy we're going to show you has multiple emails that you're going to send to someone over a period of time. Since we're sending multiple emails, instead of sticking everything we have to say in one email, which would make it long, which would increase the likelihood of the instant delete, it would increase the likelihood of looking like a salesperson trying to sell something, we can spread our message out across many emails. And we can use each email as an effort to try to educate the prospect a little bit at each time. And since we're not trying to sell the product, we're trying to sell the meeting, we don't necessarily have to educate the prospect on why they should purchase our product. We need to educate them on why they should talk to us at a certain point. And really the last concept that I'll share with you is to call the prospect. We're here to talk about cold emailing, but if you really want your cold emailing strategy to work, you need to pick up the phone. One of the first sales training sort of messages that was delivered to me when I was sitting in an audience, first day on a job in a new hire class, was the trainer said, you don't sell over email. And I really believe that to this day. Sure, you might have your cold emails doing a lot of the heavy lifting and work, but at some point you need to pick up the phone. What I would want your strategy to look like is that you can make very informed decisions on who to call, when to call, and you can be really efficient and optimum with the calls that you make, but making calls should be part of your cold emailing strategy. So now let's get to building your email messages and look at some email templates. A lot of customers and clients come to SalesScriptor for us to help them to build their email messages. A lot of people also come to us for us to help them to build their call scripts. And they kind of see either the emails or the call scripts as, this is the thing I need to write, this is the thing I need to create, will you guys help me? But whenever we get a new client in that area, I always go take a step before that. And what I want to work on before we create those items is I work with them to create their sales message. The sales message is not the email, it's not the script, it's really the key points of their message, of what they need to say overall. And then you can use the sales message then to create the emails, and use that same sales message to create the call script. In fact, you can use it to create voicemail scripts that can be used when you're making the phone calls to follow up on the cold emails. You can also use that same sales message for your objection handling responses. And you know what? If you're using the emails and the calls to schedule appointments, you could use that same sales message as the structure and key things to say when you actually go on the appointment. You could also use them for the third step of your sales process when you're delivering, your slide deck or your demonstration, your presentation on your product. You could even use your sales message for your marketing materials, for your website. So not only does creating your sales message make it very easy to create your cold emails and also your call script, in fact, make it easy to create all these different things, whereas if you're creating each thing independently, it's more work. So not only is this an easier way to go in the way that I'm going to show you here today, it also, when you create all these things based on your sales message, everything is aligned, meaning when you leave that voicemail, it's aligned with your emails. And when you call up the person, your call is in line with your cold emails. So it's all aligned together. I'll give you some direction and actually a process you can use to create your sales message. And before I show you sort of the approach that I recommend, I want to share with you what I think most of your competition does, and I'll tell you why they're doing the wrong thing. I believe most salespeople use a product selling, you could even call it a product pushing sales pitch. And it goes something like this. Hey, this is who I'm with. This is what I sell. This is what it does. This is how much it costs. And the message, whether it's in an email or it's over the phone, is centered around the goal of the message is to close the sale. When I say close the sale, I'm not going to say that in the email they say, please sign here if you'd like to move forward. It's not that direct. But if you are asking someone, I sell printer supplies, are you guys running low on printer supplies? Even knowing if they had to purchase your printer supplies, you might need to go out, look at their printer and get the product number, and there might be a sales process. That's even a very simple sales process. But the point is that when you're asking a question of I sell this, do you need this? Are you trying to, or if the salesperson is trying to validate interest, then that is a message that's around closing the sale. That will be more clear when I show you the other approach, which is what I would call a consultative sales pitch. By the way, on the left side, how I mentioned we're all humans, we all care about our own stuff. The left side is all about the salesperson's stuff. Their company, their product, their interest is to sell their product, so it's everything on the left side is all about the salesperson. Well, the right side that I'm going to show you is more about the prospect, which is this sales pitch focuses more on the benefits that the product delivers to the prospect. So the improvements for the prospect that you will help them to realize, the problems that you will help the prospect to resolve, the problems that your product will help the prospect to resolve. And asking good questions are the centerpiece to any good consultative sales pitch. The way to develop a good list of questions are to develop some questions that probe for the problems that you help to fix. Sharing some examples of other customers that you've helped. Sharing some ways that your product is different from other options on the market, sharing how the return on investment that you might help that client to realize, sharing some company facts, some impressive details about your company. And instead of closing for the sale, the close is always for the next step in your sales process. And if you're very early in your sales process, the close is simply to start the conversation. So the fact that somebody doesn't need what you sell, or the fact that somebody doesn't have budget, or the fact that somebody's locked into a contract right now, those are reasons for someone not to move forward with the sales pitch on the left, because they can't buy right now. So it doesn't make sense. If you're calling me to talk to me about buying from you, it doesn't make sense for us to continue. I don't have budget this year. Call me next year. But the fact that you don't have budget right now, if you have a consultative sales approach where you're closing to start the dialogue and the conversation, then those objections are invalid, to be honest with you. So that is our approach. Now let's look at some product selling and product pushing cold emails just real quick. I won't read all these to you, but I just grabbed these off of LinkedIn because I get these on LinkedIn every day. Hi, we're a team of freelancers doing recruitment and lead generation. So talking about all about his or her product. Are you looking for a redesign of your website? So there's a good example of seeing if I'm buying right now. By the way, that's a good example of prospect not buying, but it might make sense to talk. If you sell web design, right? What are the odds that someone's looking to redesign their website when you send an email? Probably very low probability. But what about scheduling a conversation to talk to someone about their website? I help e-commerce sites to improve their conversion rate. I looked through your catalog. I noticed a bunch of improvements that might help. Let's schedule a conversation. The fact that they're not buying, and that they're not looking to do redesign isn't a reason not to talk. Hope you're doing great. We build out enterprise apps, so it's all about her. Fully integrated digital agency focused on mobile application, all about the product. Small web design agency providing web development. Great to connect with you. Let me just continue on. Do you want your business on the first page of Google search? Results guaranteed. Sounds like a salesperson trying to sell something. We're a small web design agency providing web development services starting at $199, looking to close the sale. I really like the work being done at your organization. Yeah, right. Do you say that to everybody? And wanted to introduce myself. If there are opportunities for us to work together. Sounds like a salesperson trying to sell something, and I'm not in buying mode. I get those every day. And the reason why most salespeople do that, one is because we're humans. And we care about our own stuff. So as I said, the salesperson cares about their own stuff, like selling their product and the stuff that they know a lot about, which is their product and their company. So I told you that I want to help you to build your sales pitch. This is what the sales pitch looks like for that product pusher. In their sales message is built on basically data stores of these categories of information. And so when that's their knowledge and that's their database of information that they use to communicate in all these different ways, that's when someone goes out and is a product pusher and looks like a salesperson trying to sell something. So if we take that same exact model and apply it to apply our consultative approach, then these become the categories of data and knowledge in your head and used to create all of those different messages. Can we agree that if you or your salespeople can get all of your different communications, whether it's your cold emails or your follow-up calls to cold emails or your voicemail scripts, all these different communications, if you can get those talking about your benefits, the pain points you fix, asking good questions, customer examples, the way you differ from the competition, focusing on your ROI, focusing on the key things that are great about your company. If all your messages can be based on that, would it be safe to say that your communications would be better? You would trigger less guardedness, you trigger less instant deletes, you would start more conversations, generate more leads, and ultimately sell more? I think so. So the process to fill up those sort of databases of knowledge in order to create your sales message is this. start with the product. And I'm going to use a product example I've used on other training modules because it's very simple. It's something everybody can relate to, and it's selling a gym membership. So gym membership is the product. I'm just going to create a message. By the way, I'm going through this process of creating the message so that you can see the process. And then we're also going to show you email templates that are produced by this process. So bear with me with the example, but hopefully the goal also with this example is we all own a human body, right? A gym is something to service a human body. You own a human body. And either your human body is in good shape because you go to a gym and you can then relate to this example, or you don't go to a gym and maybe you can relate to some of the pain points. So this is a relatable example, and it can help you to hopefully understand these concepts instead of me using some technical product that is foreign to you. So the product is a gym membership. Now, some of the features of the gym membership, if you go to this gym, is there's treadmills, there's weights, classes, personal training, lap pool, sauna, steam room, yoga studio, okay? Now, so the first step is to identify what is the product that you sell. Now, I don't want you out there talking about your product. Your cold emails, I don't want you talking about your product. But the product is the starting place for creating the sales message. And so, if you have your product, think about who your buyer is. And in this example, where you could sell a gym membership to different types of people. And this is a good example of, like, you could sell a gym membership to someone who needs to lose weight versus someone who is in an incredible shape. Those could be two different sales pitches. You say this and sales messages. You say something different to the person that's looking to lose weight versus someone who's looking to accelerate their results. This example, this message is designed for someone looking to trim up and lose weight. So the benefits that the product offers that particular buyer, applying that buyer detail to your world, like let's say you sell B2B, maybe you can sell to the finance director. You can also sell your product to the IT director. Those are different buyers with different interests, different needs. You could end up where you have a different message for those different buyers. But if we think about the product and our buyer that we're creating a message for is someone looking to lose weight, the benefits that we can offer them is we can help them to lose weight, get healthier, work out more, transition health to be healthier, feel better, become more attractive, improve self-confidence, decrease stress, become happier. We're just getting started with our sales message. We're already at way better things to talk about instead of a treadmill and yoga classes, right? So if you just stopped right here, you would already be a better salesperson. But we're going to continue because now we want to think about problems that you can fix for the buyer. Well, if you might know some pain points you help with just off the top of your head. A trick that I use is I look at each benefit. Each benefit I use to help me to think of a problem. It's usually kind of the opposite. So if we help someone to lose weight, then it can be that a lot of people need to lose weight and get in better shape, not healthy, difficult to get on and work out, don't feel good, not happy with physical appearance, don't have self-confidence, stressed and depressed. So those are problems that our gym membership helps to fix. Those are good things to know to talk about someone with. Now, let's ask some good questions to see if someone has those problems. Another example to think about is, let's say you sell a little pill that helps someone to sleep well at night. Well, then the problem you help to fix for particular people is that trouble sleeping at night, tossing and turning all night. Well, if you sell that, a good question to ask is, how well are you sleeping? How often do you have a night where you toss and turn? How often do you have a night where you feel rested when you wake up? So if we're solving these problems, we can come up with a question for each problem. You could usually come up with more than one question for each problem, but at a minimum, come up with one question for each problem. Oh, and while we're at it, let's create a customer example. So here's an example of someone that we helped, and there are the results that he had. So we go through that process, then we now have our sales message. And as I mentioned to you, you can use what we have right there to create a call script, email templates, voicemail script, all that different stuff. Now, this training is focused on cold emailing. So I'm going to show you using that stuff to create cold email templates. But certainly you should follow up those cold emails with calls. I'm not going to show you here today how to use that to create your call script, but certainly everything right there can be used for your call script, voicemail script as well. Now we're going to create email templates, and we're going to create more than one email to send to somebody. So we need to think of some email topics. So again, if we were just starting with, instead of the sales message, if we were starting with creating cold emails, which is what a lot of people want to do as the first step with us, then we might struggle to think about what are we going to send as our email topics. And this is where most salespeople, the product pushers, just start creating emails about their product, right? Well, we're not going to do that. So we need some email topics. Well, you know what? It's pretty easy because our consultative sales pitch has all those different categories. Each one of those can be a different email that we send to someone. So what we need is a lot of people want to talk about email subject lines. So what are some good email subject lines that get people to open the email? I want you to either ignore or restrain that desire to create an email subject line that's really catchy, attention grabbing, to try to compose an email subject line that does what's on. Remember that slide where I had on the left side is what can we do to increase replies, purchases, and whatnot. That stuff's very difficult. In fact, the more we try with that stuff, the more we sound like a salesperson trying to sell something. And the email subject line is a good example of that. When you try to craft some tricky, manipulative, or persuasive subject line, you end up looking more like a salesperson. I try to create subject lines that have less room for error, meaning they are descriptive regarding the domain that the email pertains to, but they don't have anything that's really catchy. The goal of my subject line, and I'm not going to say I'm right or I have it all figured out, but I don't want to try to create a subject line that gets someone to delete the message. So I try to lean towards not making an error. In some sports, in tennis, there's a concept of unforced errors. So sometimes if you just hit the ball back and you don't try to be real aggressive, you wait for the other person to make the error. I kind of see subject lines as that. So what I use for my subject lines is I use what I just showed you on the previous slide. If we come up with benefits, use one of your benefits as the subject line. You might need to tweak the wording a little bit so that it fits with the subject line, but I'll show you on these email templates. So here's the first email template, and I call this sort of the improver. And this is a message that's built around the benefits that you offer. So here's a subject line the subject line is look better, feel better, and lose weight, right? No capital letters and exclamation points and emoticons or stuff that makes it look too salesy. It just refers to the domain. So hello, contact. The reason why I'm reaching out is I'm with Top Gym, and we help people looking to lose weight let me actually pause on this email template. So I know that probably most likely gyms that are selling memberships don't probably do cold emailing. So a little bit of this example doesn't actually fit, but I just want to show you how I use the message to create these templates. But anyway, so I'm with Top Gym, and we help people looking to lose weight. So what you would insert right there is the typical buyer that you're targeting with your cold email. So if you're creating a message around directors of finance, that's where you would say, the reason why I'm reaching out to you is I'm with, and insert the name of your company, and we help directors of finance too, and then here you have your benefits. And so we came up with a bunch of benefits, but here I just put 5. So you probably want between 3 to 5. You don't want more than that. We helped improve those areas, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. Are you available for a brief 15-20 minute meeting next Tuesday or Thursday where we can share with you some examples of how we've helped individuals to get healthier and improve their lives? That's one of our email templates that we use. Now, I told you we're going to send more than one email, so this doesn't have to be like we have to accomplish everything in this template. You can see here it's fairly economical in terms of word count. So hopefully that helps us with the decreasing the instant delete. We're clearly a representative of a company and a product, but we don't seem like some pushy salesperson. This talks more about how we're going to help the prospect than talks about our product and our own stuff. So, you are a salesperson and you do have something to sell, so you can't like lie to them. You have to be authentic, but this hopefully presents you in the best light. So that's one template. The next template is what we call the problem solver. So this is a pain message. And again, you can see the subject line here, not happy with physical appearance. So again, it's not that great of a subject line. It's not, but it just doesn't, it might not trigger that instant delete. Hello, contact. The reason why I'm reaching out to you is I'm with Top Gym, and we find that people looking to lose weight can have challenges with pain point, pain point, pain point, pain point, pain point. We help to improve all those areas, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. Are you available for a brief? And then there's the closing, and that's the email template. Email number 3, client example. So the subject line is some details about lost 60 pounds, got a new girlfriend, became a happier person. Hello, one of the reasons I'm reaching out to you is we worked with 35-year-old man and provided a full health improvement program. This helped him to lose 60 pounds, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if we can help you in the same way. That's why I'm reaching out. Are you available for a brief meeting? The next message is using our questions. So by the way, this is email number 4. If you're sending these in a series, this would be email number 4. This email that I'm going to show you, by itself, it's not great. I would never send this as email number 1. I think it serves a purpose as part of a longer string, but you are at email number 4 in a series of, I'm going to show you 6 emails. So you're getting towards the end. So this email is, the subject line is one of your pre-qualifying questions. Hello, I'm trying to determine if it makes sense for us to talk at some point. Here are some of the questions that I would ask you to get a better idea of that. And then there are I just list out 5 questions. If you answer yes to any of those, we could likely have a very productive conversation. Let me know if you're interested in putting a few minutes on the calendar. So like I said, I'm not saying that someone's going to reply to that email and say, oh, here are your answers, right? I'm not even saying that you'll get a high reply rate to that. I'm just saying as part of the series, it just plays a role where you're continuing to educate the person and let you know who you are. The next message is, so this is email number 5. And at this point, I'm going to start to get to the product stuff. I've already, the person that you're competing against is sending the product message on email number 1. So if nothing else, we're really resisting that all about you approach, and this is where you kind of get to it. So the subject line might be some descriptive stuff about what you sell, and if we were to meet and determine that we might be able to help you, if we were to meet and determine that we might be able to help you, it might lead us in a direction of talking about our luxury and full service workout facility. What that provides is, the wording could be better here, but what that provides is treadmills, weights, classes, personal training, lap pool, sauna, steam room, yoga studio, some ways that we differ from other options out there, and here's some differentiation. The key thing here is this is where you mention what you sell, and the paragraph number 2 is basically like a 1-sentence description. Like, if you sell a car, this is where you say, it's a 4-door sedan, brand new, climate control or navigation, whatever. Are you available? And then closing for the meeting, and then that's the email template. Then email number 6, this is when you're starting to walk away. So this is the last attempt, and I would call this like the takeaway message. And the subject line is checking in. Hello, hope all is well. I never heard back from you, and sometimes no response is indeed a response, but I thought I would follow up with you one last time. The reason why I'm trying to connect with you is that we help people looking to lose weight with some of the following, with some of the below areas. And this is a repeat of the benefits from email number 1. If I don't hear back from you, I'll assume that you're not the right person to speak with, or that those are improvements that you're not interested in I will close the file. No problem at all. If that's the direction you prefer, if I should be contacting someone else regarding this, I would greatly appreciate any pointing in the right direction. And so that's the last email of the series. So that's a cold email, 6 email series. Now, before I move on to the next section, let me just show you a couple things regarding SalesScripter. So I told you I would want you to create your message, and then that will create your email templates. So SalesScripter has a feature in here called like the Sales Message Builder. So this is where you would go through our software and answer those questions. In fact, this is where I have gym membership for people looking to lose weight. This is where I created the message that I just shared with you. So there's actually answer boxes. So this is where all those points are. Now you could follow this process that I'm sharing with you. You replicate it for your own product and use a spreadsheet or a document. The thing about SalesScripter is it takes you through that process step by step. Now, you may say, well, I could do it on my own. If let's say that you love the process and you want to do it. It's understandable for you to say, I can do it on my own. One of the benefits is that once you have all your information in here, then there's a folder here for prospecting email templates. And so this is where some of those email templates that I just showed you are. So these are all automatically created. So like here's a value message. So here's this is created by the software from all your answers. And you could say, well, I could just copy your PowerPoint slide and create it on my own. Where this comes in handy is that you might create more than one message for the different products you sell, the different buyers, and whatnot. In theory, you should have a whole bunch of different sales messages. So this makes it easy to create all that and then also have a whole library of email templates. There's a whole bunch more that aren't included in what I just showed you. This creates all those templates for you. Also, we create what we call email threads. So this is actually, an email thread is a series of emails. So this is that series I just showed you. So you have a value message, a pain message, name drop. This is what I just went through with you. So this is that series. So this is all created by SalesScripter. Just want to show you that real quick. The next thing I want to talk to you about is actually sending out your cold emails. So certainly you can send your cold emails. Let's say that you just have a corporate email account and you use Microsoft Outlook and you send out your emails one at a time. Well, there's a couple problems with that. One is there's a lot of tools you can use to send a mass email out. So first thing I want to talk about is automating. So automating could kind of be two things. One is there's tools that you can use to send your cold email to multiple people at the same time. So anything you can buy that and pay for that replicates your effort, so you're not sending one email at a time, is really good. The other thing that you want to do is if you send more than one cold email to someone, such as a series that I showed you, that you want to automate those future emails. So I'll show you how it's done just briefly in SalesScripter. Lots of tools on the market. Just consider this an example. But like in SalesScripter, if I wanted to send this email to someone, if I click send, then this email is loaded up in sort of a delivery tool where all of these individual emails are loaded up. By the way, I can send this series of emails to a list. So you can see here all the lists I have in my account. And that's it sends the email out. It looks like it's a one-to-one email, does a mail merge, pretty standard stuff. Lots of tools do that, but that's what SalesScripter does. And then here are the email messages all laid out. I can make any changes. These are scheduled out to about one per week. And I click send, and all of the future emails are scheduled out. So if you're doing cold emailing, you definitely want to do that. The next thing is regarding tracking. So pretty standard with most email systems that you can track opens and clicks. So SalesScripter does that. Just to give you something to compare to, like see this notification up here, like I have 1,500 opens and clicks. So like here, opened, replied, opened, and clicked on a link. So what you want to do is you want to have a tool that tracks opens and clicks. Clicks are when someone clicks on a link. By the way, the email templates that I shared with you, those did not have links. So a good piece of advice regarding your cold email templates is to put a link in there. That is, if you have a tool that can track a click when someone clicks on a link, that way you can know who's engaging with your emails. That's really good data. So like the opens, people that are opening your emails are good people to call. The clicks are great people to call. Now when you insert a click into your email template, you're going to want to, I wouldn't say like, here's a link to our product. Since you're trying to be more of a consultant, you would want to get creative to say, here's a link to like a white paper on industry best practices, something like that. Regarding SalesScripter, we actually have what we call a Chrome extension. So you can see here, like if I click this is a piece of SalesScripter software that if you use Gmail or G Suite for your email, you can download a Chrome extension where not only this helps you to get your SalesScripter email templates into your inbox, but this Chrome extension also tracks opens and clicks. So not only for the emails that you're sending out through automation in a mass way, but your individual emails that you send one-to-one through your inbox, if you use Gmail or G Suite, with our Chrome extension you can track opens and clicks. Now the key thing about opens and clicks is to have a system that you can do some sort of lead scoring. We use MailChimp for our email marketing, and we get all sorts of clicks and open data over there. MailChimp, which I love, and I refer customers every day to MailChimp for their email marketing, not their cold email prospecting, but their email marketing. But what MailChimp doesn't do is it gives me all this it tracks all these opens and clicks, but it doesn't really give me that data in a consumable way. What you want is you want your cold emails to be producing some sort of lead scoring. And so what our system does is it gives quality points for opens and clicks. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me get to my CRM. So like all of our contacts have values for quality points. And these points are accumulated by them opening and clicking emails. There's multiple ways for them to get quality points. Opens and clicks are a big way that you get points. So how does that apply to your cold emailing? Well, you know that I said you need to be picking up the phone and making calls. Your cold emails with never picking up the phone will not get you there. I don't personally believe. At some point you need to pick up the phone. But let's say you send an email to 1,000 people or 100 or 10,000. I don't want you just randomly working down that list calling people. I want you calling the people that are engaged with your email. With this data, let me give you a good example here. So like if I go to our list, so our lists here, I have a list of people that have attended webinars. This list is 2,000 in length. And you can see here these quality scores. I can see this list and see who to call. So I'm not calling someone who's never opened an email. Like this person right here has 4 quality points. So that's not a person for me to call. This person has 86. The data tells me who to call, which makes me, one way you can look at it is I'm optimizing who I'm calling. You could also say it as I'm not going to have to spend as much time making calls because there's a whole bunch of people that you're sending cold emails to that you'll never call. So really important there is to do some lead scoring on your cold emailing and to use a system that produces points for opens and clicks. Now one thing you might think regarding cold emails, this is just kind of bonus, is obviously if you've gotten far enough where you're working on your cold email strategy or efforts, maybe you have a contact list, but you may end up in situations where you want to send cold emails to people and you don't have their email address. Well, I personally believe that in most cases, if you're selling B2B, you can guess someone's email address. And it's usually some combination of their first name, last name details at company website. So either it's first name underscore, first name dot, first initial, last name, so these are the most common, these would be called naming conventions that corporations use. Now one thing I want to show you is we actually have a tool. So one thing you do is you can just guess those different combinations, and if the email doesn't bounce back, you could maybe assume that the email delivered. We have a tool in SalesScripter called an email guesser. If you put in that value of first name, last name, and then put in like company website address. Our system basically runs all those different combinations that I just showed you and does like a test ping on sort of the MX database for that, and it'll tell you which one is good. So here's the correct email address for this person, which is me. But these three values, it does all these different combinations. So really helpful tool there in our CRM called the Email Guesser that can help you. That comes in big time handy when you're doing prospecting on LinkedIn. A lot of people, so all those bad messages that I shared a minute, halfway through this, were on LinkedIn cold emails. So a lot of people apply cold emailing to LinkedIn, and the most common approach is, let me find a potential prospect on LinkedIn, let me send them an invite to connect, then let me send them my product pushing cold email. I think that's a horrible way to go. For one reason, not only is the product pushing email horrible, but to send me an invitation to connect and then to try to sell to me, I think in some ways it's rude. So, but I do think LinkedIn is an awesome place to find people that you would have never known about. You can go to LinkedIn and get these three pieces of information in less than 1 minute. You can get their name and click on their company and get a company profile on LinkedIn and get their company URL. And then you can come to SalesScripter and get their email address, create a contact for that person, and then start sending them sending an email thread, that you've created in SalesScripter, and automate that, and just get that, spend a few hours a day going finding people on LinkedIn, bringing them over here using the email guesser, starting them on a 6 cold email campaign. Then you start watching for who's starting to interact with your emails in terms of quality points. Then you start calling the people that have enough quality points to where they have earned a reason for you to spend your valuable time calling them, and there you go. So that is a brain dump of what I have to offer you in the area of cold emailing. If this has helped you in any way, what I would say is if you can return the favor to us, if you're watching this on YouTube or you get the recording for this later, if you can like it, comment, share the recording, that if you never end up purchasing anything from us, that is an awesome way for you to return the favor to us of us sharing these tips. If you want more help other than this training here, everything that I'm showing you here today is part of what we call our SMART sales system. So SMART stands for sales messaging and response tactics, and it's really a two-part system. Part one is methodology. So this is just a system of doing things. So what I showed you here today really crosses across a lot of the different pieces of our methodology. And you can access our methodology in our books, training videos, live training, coaching, consulting. A lot of our customers are frontline salespeople. We also have a lot of managers that use us to train their salespeople. But part two of the system is the software platform that I've showed you a couple times here today. We give away a lot of our methodology and resources for free. The reason why is because it completely aligns with our software. So we'll give you away a lot of our training for free, because if you love our training and you start watching all of our different training modules, you might want to check out our software because they completely align. Meaning, if you like our approach to cold emailing, well, our software has all of our cold email templates and more. It'll help you to deliver your cold email templates and track the opens and clicks and whatnot. Pricing for the software is $49 per month. You do get a 40% discount if you sign up for the year. All of our sales training is on YouTube at no cost. It's very common for our customers to sign up for our software, and then we do sell consulting. So one popular consulting package is a Scripter walkthrough, where I personally spend 2 hours with you and go through our sales message building process. That's typically like when people come to us to build their script or their emails, we usually end up going through our Scripter walkthrough to create their sales message, and then they use our software to create the documents that they were wanting to hire us to create for them. But the Scripter walkthrough is $200, so it's really pretty for what you get for 2 hours. It's pretty. We could charge a lot more for that. Our goal is really to sell software subscriptions, so we pretty much provide that walkthrough at a discount. But anyways, that's it. Here's my info. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.